Welcome to another session of Teams in 20. Today we're going to be talking about Copilot. So it's going to be a new thing for a lot of people on this call, and then there's going to be people that have seen a bit of it and just really want to know more. So the next 20 minutes we're going to cover a little bit about what Copilot is, where we might use that in our day-to-day work. We're also just going to touch on what is generative AI, this buzzword that we keep hearing, and I'm going to try and give you a simplified explanation for that. And then I'm going to just point you in the direction to find out more. Now, there are lots of people that have never heard about Copilot at all, so we're going to kick off with a couple of minutes video. But before I do, if you haven't met me before, my name is Joe Johnston. I'm a Senior Customer Success Manager here in the UK, looking after some awesome UK customers. But let's have a look at that video, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit more. I'm very excited to see how Copilot's going to change my life. I know, I'm sure you are too. So what do we know about the way we work today? Well, I think we can all agree that we've probably got too many emails. We definitely have too many meetings and just not enough uninterrupted time to focus. So we did a recent study, a work lab work trends index. I'm going to show a link to that for you later. But what this tells us is that there is a significant percentage of people that are saying they don't have enough time or energy to actually do their jobs. And they're spending way too much time just searching for information. And I know I feel that too. So what can we do to change that? Well, over the last few years, there's been a sizable change in just our ways of working. Increased flexibility is a real positive. And especially since the pandemic, we've seen that grow and grow. And then there's this huge new interest in AI. Now, I say new interest because AI has been around since the 50s. We've mostly used it for simple things like checking our grammar or adding to our security, or even creating some lovely polished PowerPoint slides. That's one of my favorites. In other words, it just helps us save a little bit more time and probably helps us be more secure. But what we're experiencing now is a seismic shift into AI capability. We're talking about something called generative AI. And generative AI is huge because it's capable of doing a lot more. It's capable of saving lots of time and stress. And this is great because this is the problem we said that we're all facing. Now, what is different now compared to our previous conversations about AI is that we're moving into an era of, instead of AI just being behind the scenes, AI is now going to be partnering with us day to day, helping us do our everyday tasks. Before I talk about generative AI, probably want to just talk about the AI that we know and love today. And this is all really based around machine learning. Now, machine learning is how we teach a computer model to make predictions and draw conclusions from the data that we've supplied it. So if you think about how we do this, we usually would start off with a use case or a task that we're trying to find the answers to. We provide the model with lots of data, and then we train the model on what that data is, what it means, how it's connected. And then the output of that data is going to be really based on the input of the data that we showed initially. So if you think about how we would train the model, it's a bit like how we train a baby. So, when you have a baby, the baby knows nothing. And you've got to teach it how to eat, you've got to teach it how to walk, and you've got to teach it what tools to use. Creating that link between food and a spoon, for instance, is something that machine learning would help you do. Unless somebody trains that baby, it doesn't have that knowledge. Unless somebody trains this model, it doesn't have the knowledge it needs to give you the right output. So, we're training this model in a similar way, we're creating labels and we're helping connect that data in the same way as we're telling the baby, we use spoons to eat. If I give you another example, we might have a use case where a typical one where we want to stop things like credit card fraud. So my use case is I want to stop credit card fraud. I'm going to give it lots of data. I'm going to give it things like account data. I'm going to give it transaction data. And then I'm going to give it some, ways of understanding how I'm going to train it on how that data is connected, and say that, if a credit card transaction, if there's 10 transactions happen on an account within the space of 5-6 minutes, that's probably a red flag. But I'm giving it some information that highlights what those issues may be. And then the output of that would be that it would provide me with a big log of all those accounts that have got issues. Really simple. Generative AI is a more powerful technology. And the reason it's more powerful is because it creates new data from that existing data. It's not just regurgitating what it already knows and then giving you, some information back based on the data you put in. This is creating new data, and it can learn from examples and patterns, and it can generate new things like new images, new text, new music, and even new code, which is really exciting. So give you an example of how this might work. Imagine you've got a big bunch of Lego bricks. Now, you've got lots of different colors, you've got lots of different shapes. And with that Lego, you can do things like maybe you want to build a house or a car or a spaceship or a dragon or wherever your imagination takes you. Now, how will you decide what are you going to build or how you're going to build it? You've probably got two options. The first option, look through the guidebook, maybe follow a YouTube tutorial, but go through some instructions. The second option, just absolutely use your own imagination and your own creativity. That house looks like it does in your imagination, you create it. And the generative AI is a bit like using your imagination, creativity to build something new out of those Lego bricks. It doesn't follow any of those fixed rules or those instructions, but it's learning from some examples that it's already seen, and it tries to build something similar but different. So it knows there's tons and tons of different images of Lego houses, and it knows that those Lego houses have got a roof, they've got windows, they've got a door in most cases, so it knows the pattern of a house. But then it can use its information to actually create something similar but different. So yeah, that's just one example. Another example might be if I ask it to create me a poem. You've seen loads of examples, I'm sure, online of people saying, create me a poem in cowboy kind of language, or, in the style of a certain person. But all it's doing there is it knows what a poem is, because it's got this huge library to go and check from. So it's checks through, it sees all these different poems, it's got some great examples to learn from, and then it will create its own poem that's, it sounds like a poem. It's the same format as a typical poem, but it's not. It's brand new content, and it's just based on those examples. So in short, generative AI can create new content as long as it's got some great examples to learn from. And this is why it's exciting, because it's creating something new, something we might not have even thought of. And that's good for us because we've heard that the problem that people are having is they've not got enough time and they're suffering from burnout. And we know that AI can help here. So we've got organizations that have told us that they want AI not just for admin, but also to help with that analytical and that creative work. So this is why we've got Copilot. And Copilot's really going to help. So Copilot is in, I suppose, these three buckets. The first bucket is these large language models, so this big model that this data is being trained on, and also your data, so what data you've decided you're going to share with that. It also then takes the data from the graph, so it knows what you're doing for work. It's looking at your calendar, your emails, your chats, your documents, your meetings, so it knows about you. And then it's looking at your apps as well. So it takes those three content areas and helps provide you this great partnering service. Now, I should say that most people agree that AI is going to change the work for the better, but it's not designed to 100% do all the work for us. This is not autopilot, this is Copilot. So you're in control. You can take or leave the changes that it suggests or the recommendations. It's about working, partnering with the Copilot, not for it just to take over and do things that are out of your control. So the elements of Copilot in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, Outlook, and Loop. I'm sure there'll be more going forward. Currently, it's in a paid preview with a small sample of customers worldwide. I don't have a confirmed GA date, but I'm sure it won't be too long. I just don't want to guess. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you Copilot running in some of these different areas. So let's go through and let me show you some examples. Just going to switch my camera off for this one. So when I look at Copilot in Word, say you need to create a customer proposal and you just don't have time for that writer's block. Copilot can draft a proposal based on your customer notes that you might have in a OneNote, as well as another internal document, so you can bring those together. Copilot scans the target files, gets to work, and then it can quickly generate a draft with all those key details that you provided. Now, you might want to look at a previous proposal you've created and use a similar format. So you can give it a reference file that you might want to share. And you can also do things like ask it to strengthen your proposal by maybe adding a summary or an FAQ section to that proposal. So people don't have to read the whole document. They can just get a quick summary of what that document is. So Copilot's kind of taken that tedious task, simplified it, and just freed you up to focus on different work. When we look at Copilot in Outlook, I think we all struggle with the challenges of having a busy inbox. Sometimes it keeps us really from focusing on that important work. But at the same time, you've got important emails in there, I'm sure, that you want to respond to. So Copilot can go in and it can help you separate that important email from that noise, looking at some of the dates and times and things in the wording and saying, look, you might want to look at this first. It can also help you on the go with mobile as well. So it can do things like summarize long threads, so you don't have to scan through it all, maybe help you create a quick reply. You could even add a document in there if you wanted to. You can decide what kind of tone of voice you want to have or the length of the email reply, and then add some more context as you need. So it's kind of giving you 80% of everything you need, and then you're probably going to just tailor it to add the extra bits or take out the bits that you don't want. When we look at Copilot in Excel, so let's think of, say you need to analyze this quarter sales results from monthly business review. You're going to start by asking Copilot to analyze the data, maybe give you 3 trends from that data. So within a few seconds, you're going to get what you need. You'll get those 3 trends, and then you'll be able to drill into them. You can ask follow-up questions. you can ask it to create a new data sheet, so give you a bit of a sandbox to play in. And then that's going to help you better understand the model, but without actually editing the original sheet. So you can also help ask it to break down how it came to those solutions, or what contributed to declining in the sales growth this period. It'll also add a little bit of a color to help the problems kind of jump off the page as well. So in this model, you'll see it's highlighted some of the issues, and you can also understand how that information was found, but then also dig a little bit deeper, and maybe even ask those, how to scenarios. The other thing is, as well, I've asked it here, to create a graph of a projected model. So all the time here, you're looking at this data without touching that original data, but be able to create new models and help project what might change if you make certain changes. So it's taken that sea of data and just turned it into clear insights and actions. The next thing we want to look at is business chat. So if you've been working on your business strategy, you might need to be able to pull together a bunch of information, and it could take you hours to find it. So Copilot's going to help you quickly do that with some natural language. So example, you could ask Copilot to pull up quarterly projections from an Excel sheet, and then identify any related risks. It's going to scan through that Excel file, and it's going to produce a quick summary of any projections and also any related risks. You could also ask it to create a SWOT analysis based on the information. So it's created you a loop component showing strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and you can share this with other colleagues, which is great. But if you notice anything's incorrect, you can go in and quickly change that. If that looks good, you could ask Copilot to turn this into a slide view, maybe for your upcoming exec review. It's going to create the slide, it's going to add it to that deck, and then it's also going to give you a bit of a preview there so that you can be really confident that that data is correct. As I said, this is Copilot, not autopilot. So every step here, you have the opportunity to go and change it, edit it to fit what you need. It's not going to do 100% of the work for you, but it might get you 80% of the way there. Now, a personal favorite of mine is Copilot in PowerPoint. So if you've ever felt a little bit low on creativity, looking for a little bit of inspiration, Copilot in PowerPoint can do things like just bring your ideas to life. So click on this little demo here. I've just got a simple PowerPoint deck. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask it to create a presentation based on a Word document that I've already got. So it's going to scan that document, and automatically it's going to come up with these beautiful images and text, taking that information that it's found in those documents. Now you can ask it to add more slides. So this asked it to ask a bit more information about sustainability. Add a few more animations maybe. And you can see there as well, it's also got speaker notes, which is awesome. So give you a bit of an idea of how you might want to frame what's going on in that slide, and also the sources it's used. So you can make a new presentation from that simple prompt or outline. Now you'll see throughout all these different demos, we're asking it lots of questions. And this is the change that we all have to kind of get on board with, is how we ask for these prompts. It's a little bit different than we might be used to, because it's all using natural language commands, so we can really dig deep and just ask it, I would like this in a beautiful green color, and I want the sentiment to be really joyful and positive, and you ask all those kind of human ways of asking things, rather than a keyword search that we might put into Bing or something. Now, this is a one that I use every single day. Absolutely fantastic. Now I'm going to let another speaker talk over this this demo because he explains it a lot better than I will. So I'm just going to kick this one off.
It looks like you have a dentist appointment that conflicts with your weekly business review. What if you could do both? With Copilot, you can follow a meeting and catch up to see what you've missed, even if you can't attend. You'll get a notification in Teams when the recap is ready. You can see the content that was shared, detailed notes, and any action items. You see that one of your customers was discussed and want to learn more. You can use Copilot to ask clarifying questions, and it provides a detailed response. You can ask questions like why a certain decision was made, and it provides the context. You can even ask what other solutions were considered. And with every response, it provides citations with a snapshot of the transcript. It's a huge time saver. So that was pretty cool, but the real magic of Copilot happens during a live meeting. Let's say you're in a meeting with your team. You can ask Copilot to summarize the meeting so far. You can see how it summarizes who said what points were made, and it's really capturing the spirit of the discussion. And as the meeting progresses, you can check in on where people stand. You can even ask Copilot what questions were unresolved. It is just amazing to see this happen in real time.
So something that I use all the time, being able to just quickly recap, I'm late to the meeting, I could only join halfway, what's already happened in the first half of this meeting, or I just want to go back and review that later. But I don't just want to see the transcription and a summary of the transcription, and which is still awesome and something you'll see in Teams Premium. But this lets me dig in and ask questions. So Copilot is as I said, it's your partner in this meeting. So you can see it summarized key discussion points, who said what people were aligned to, where did they disagree, suggested action times, action items. So it's just a great way to unlock the kind of magic of efficient and effective meetings, which is something that we have all struggled with. So that is it for my demos. We have a lot of great resources that we can share with you, and these will continue to be added to. As I mentioned before, we've got this Work Lab Forecast 2023. If you want to see some of those great stats that I shared earlier, next week we will be talking about building your champions network. So please do join us then. Thank you so much, and have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you.